Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two cousins who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Monica.
And, as you can see, my hair is blue.
And your eyebrows are blue.
The eyebrows are temporary.
But I honestly gotta say, that is a nice shade
Everybody
match.
on Snapchat was like, oh my god, did you dye your eyebrows too? And I was like, no. God,
Could you
no.
imagine if you did?
No.
Hey, Jenna, bleach them.
No. I don't even know if I like them now.
They look really cute. I like them. I really like it blue. Today I'm in pain. Like, a bad pain. Mary Kate's just been watching me just, like, feel sorry for myself for the past, 20 minutes? More than that? 2 hours?
More than that. I am going to Texas to see my sister. So we are filming this a little early. And we'll also be filming next week's well before next week.
Yeah, just so that you guys are aware, if we're not talking about things that are going on at the present moment, that's why.
Yeah.
It's not because we're just dumb. It's because we just...
I mean, we don't really talk about current events anyway, because we hate everyone.
But you'll be a little not extremely up to date with our lives when both of these episodes come out. So when Mary Kate comes back and we do film for not next week, but the week after's video, you will hear all about her vacation, the things I have not done. I started working out.
Yeah, when this comes out, I will be in Texas.
Yep.
I would say it'll be nice because it'll be warm there, but it's fucking hot here too, so.
Yeah, it's 82 degrees today, but I gotta say, like, your house doesn't feel hot.
No.
It's actually very
Obviously,
comfortable.
I'm wearing a sweater, so I'm clearly not that hot.
And I just wore really short shorts and a tank top because I was just dying earlier, but no. Also, I am going to apologize because it's going to sound like I'm straining to talk. I have really bad just cramps right now, so it's like...
I mean, if it's not one of us, it's gotta be the other one. Last week I sounded like I was deaf because my ears hurt so bad you couldn't hear me talking.
Yeah, and then today I feel like I'm gonna just sound like I'm just low energy, low volume, low everything, just... But in good news, we finally started watching the actual TV show of Kolchak.
Yeah, we did. Just any update? Do you have any update on your life other than you're dying?
Not really.
Okay.
Not since we last talked 2 days ago. 3 days ago. Possibly, no, 4 days ago.
It was 4 days. Next video record will have only been a
A
day.
day.
So, but, no, my great-grandmother passed away last year, which is not fun or fine, really, but I mean, she was 93 and not in good health, so it's not like it was shocking. But, we've been cleaning out her house.
How much stuff have you guys, like, got rid of?
I don't know how it is possible for someone to have saved that many newspaper clippings.
Oh my god.
She has every time anybody in her family was ever mentioned in the newspaper in her entire 93 years of life saved.
Oh, that's really cute.
It's so sweet, but it's also like...
Like, honey, did you... What?
I mean, this is the kind of lady who wrote the date on a box of light bulbs to know when she changed the lights. Like...
That is the most precious thing I think I've ever seen. Heard.
So that was an interesting part of my week. Also, I got my hair done, obviously. And,
Actually, I think when we film for not this week's, not next week's, the week after, I would have gotten my new tattoo. I go June 3rd, that Thursday, to get my tattoo done. And then that following week after, this long hair, say goodbye to it. It's not going to be here for a while.
Oh, I have a job. I'm not unemployed anymore.
Yeah,
That happened, I mean, like an hour ago. But, like, and it's one of my old jobs that I got back.
It's one of your favorite things to do.
Yeah.
So.
It is. Very.
Only thing I will say that's really sad about this week when we were looking into stuff about Kolchak. Let me on for a second. Thanks, sorry. Was that we only got 7 pieces of trivia this week.
It's okay, because we're not just going to read the trivia, we're also going to read the goofs and continuity, because they're hysterical.
Oh, yeah. Like,
Great. There's some great ones.
yeah, like, it starts off with Kolchak just like, yeah, I'm in Chicago, but it doesn't, because I was...
Oh, that's not even on there.
Oh, because I was going to say, when I was talking to Mary Kate, like, right when it was starting, I was like, I wonder how they're going to make it be like, from where they ended the movie to where they start the TV show.
Absolutely no explanation.
And it's just like, I'm in Chicago. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, buddy. Good to know.
So, the episode that we watched is obviously episode 1 of Kolchak. It premiered on September 13th, 1974.
My dad was 5. He had just turned 5. He had been 5 for like 3 months at that point. But my dad is 5.
It is called The Ripper. Oh, shoot. I forgot to grab the DVD box.
I shall grab it. Ow. Ow. Don't look at my ass. Ow.
No, it's the one that's already pulled out of there. It's on top of the DVD player. The blurb on the back of the DVD case says, "A serial killer who is terrorizing women continually avoids capture, and Kolchak comes to believe that the murderer is none other than the original Jack the Ripper."
Which I will say, before we get into it, the way that Kolchak and the whole... everyone's starting to put the pieces together, it just seems like a copycat killer. But then you got Kolchak going, nah. That's Jack the Ripper.
Which, if you had never seen the movies and you had just watched this episode only, like as a new TV show, you would be baffled. Because Kolchak is just so convinced that it's not a copycat, it's actually Jack the Ripper. I mean, there's zero evidence.
Yeah.
Zero evidence.
It's just, like, the only things is that he jumped from a really tall building and didn't die, and then he got hit by a car, but he broke the car, and then he got up and walked away. Those are, like, the two, like...
Which, if I was like, this man can jump off of a 4-story building and not get hurt, my immediate assumption wouldn't be he's 100 years old.
Yeah. Mine would be vampire, but we've already dealt with that right now. But turns out there's another vampire episode within the first 4 episodes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Of Kolchak. Because I saw when then the loading screen came up, and it was vampire. I'm like, great, we got another one.
I'm sure. It was written by Rudolph Borchardt.
Is he originally Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Maybe. This is his first writing credit ever. He wrote like a bunch more TV after that, and he writes a couple more Kolchak episodes, but literally first IMDb credit, period, is this episode. The director was Alan Barron, who is one of the few people that we will mention who is still alive.
Really?
Yeah. He was born in 1928.
Wow, good for
He
him.
is an old man.
Very old.
He directed like a ton of TV, but none of it is stuff that I know.
Okay.
Except for that he did direct 2 episodes of The Brady Bunch.
There you go.
But like, you know, I mean, you've got his first directing credit is in 1961, and then he like just was pretty prolific director between 1961 and 1975, and then afterwards also. But like, just as much as I do watch old TV, it was nothing that I'm familiar with. So,
yeah. Like your dad would probably know more.
Maybe I've seen. There was some of them that I think like I vaguely heard of. Like he was nominated for a Hugo Award for some episodes of The Immortals, which I've like vaguely heard of, but I know nothing about. But most of them were things I had never even heard of.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
The more you know.
So that's what we are dealing with, directing and writing. I actually did look to see if there was like a makeup department. There's not.
Yeah, I didn't think that there would be, because especially within this one, like, first of all, it was just a guy with a beard in a costume, but like,
Not even. He didn't even have a beard. He just had a mustache, no beard.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
like he was just like, and it was mostly his shadow, which, when it comes down to shooting the scenes, like the way they used the lighting in them was really cool. But I don't think, because it is a TV show that in the 70s, where when we were watching the movies, like the second one was what got like one actual, like, looked like prosthetic piece.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be a lot
But
of
like there wasn't
that.
even listed as like a makeup department for just like powdering people's faces.
Oh,
Like they
that's
didn't
sad.
even have a makeup department at all.
Oh, damn. So
Right.
they're just out here just saying, hey, Bob, throw this on your face, you're less shiny. Well, that wouldn't make sense because they're all sweaty.
Yeah. But I don't know how film worked in the 70s, like, and if they just, like, didn't credit people's, like, personal makeup artists and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, but there was no makeup department at all.
There you go.
So this episode...
First of all, Jack the Ripper, we see him within, like, the first, 5 minutes of the episode?
I think we see him... No, we don't see him before we see Kolchak, but we see him very early.
And there's a murder that happens in Wisconsin, and you talked about this one because this obviously ties into the ones that happened in Chicago. At least we have a killer that moves around a bit, because he made his last 2 or 3 victims be in Chicago, and his first 2 be in 2 different other states.
And every other case before this time was in a different city, so it wasn't like the stupid alchemist who just kept coming back to the same city every 21 years.
Yeah, and so with that being said, we see him kill this one girl. And, like, not kill her, but, like, she gets attacked, and then we see him leave the room. And he walks out of the room, closes the door behind him, and he has this badass cape and a cane. And I was like, okay, fucking Gerard Butler stepped up on set today, and he said, I'm gonna reprise my role as Phantom of the Opera.
It was like exactly what you would picture Jack the Ripper looking like, only he didn't decide to change his outfit since 1888.
Yeah, he said cape and a cane. But you want to know what's super cool about his cane that we learn later on? It's a sword! Like,
I want it. I want to walk around with a cane that has like a skull on the top that is actually secretly a saber. That's all I want in my life.
Yeah, like, could you imagine, like, like someone comes up expecting to mug you because they think you're feeble because you're walking with a cane. It's like, psych, bitch. I'm gonna kill you now. Like,
Love
that, I want to have that energy where I can just whip out a sword.
Yeah.
And just be like, let's duel.
Yo, that cane is dope as shit.
Yo, I just got real Phantom of the Opera vibe for no reason.
Hey, grab that guy.
He's not very inconspicuous, though, which would not make sense for IRL Jack the Ripper.
No, but like, I mean, I wouldn't grotesquely mutilate women in the middle of the night for no reason,
No.
but like, I would like the sword itself.
And he has at least 5 of them.
Oh yeah, he had a ton of them at the end. So, I didn't really take notes.
Yeah, we can't.
Because we're just doing things on a because I have to leave this weekend. We're doing things on a condensed time frame, so we didn't get to watch it twice like we usually do. So I don't have notes. So we're just freeballing. We're just talking about shit. I have realized that Tony Vincenzo is my spirit animal. He is just done all of the time.
Yes. And I brought this up to Mary Kate. I was like, you're Tony Vincenzo and I'm Kolchak. And she's like, but you're not smart enough to be Kolchak. And I was like, yes and no. I'm like, because I'm smart about the most obscure, most random-ass fucking things that somehow end up making sense. I look completely insane, but guess what? There's a very dim light bulb in there, somewhere far back.
So in this episode, we obviously, like we knew in the movies, Kolchak and Vincenzo are going to be our recurring characters. There are only really 2 other recurring characters in the series, and they're both in this episode, kind of. So one is the other main reporter at the newspaper.
His face reminds me of a Yorkie, and he has the nervous tendencies of a Chihuahua.
He is a very awkward man. His name is Ron Updike, and he is played by an actor who I don't know very well, but who is like in a lot of TV shows in the 70s and 80s.
really?
Like he's like a fairly prolific person. I didn't know him though, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Me neither.
I could look it up, but I'm lazy. And then the other one is actually a character, and this will come up in the trivia also, but there's the little old lady at the end of the show. She doesn't have a name, technically, but she is going to come back in the show.
As other different old ladies.
No, not just as other different old ladies, as Miss Emily. She is Miss Emily that is the letters getting written to, that he was the, like, advice help lady that Kolchak had to pretend to be. So, basically, Kolchak is at this newspaper, and once again, he's being Kolchak and believing that there's supernatural things happening. And Vincenzo's like, I cannot deal with your fucking shenanigans anymore. And he makes him take over for Miss Emily, who is on vacation, which is basically the Dear Abby of this newspaper.
Yeah.
And I think my absolute favorite moment of the entire episode is listening to Kolchak read these letters from these people who are writing to Dear Emily.
Because, like, this happens obviously, like, within the first 10 minutes, and it's like, he's just, like, so fed up. He's like, oh, what the fuck? What did he say about having, like, lack of intelligence?
Oh, my God. We'll put a clip in of us talking about it while we watched the episode right here, because I don't remember what it said, but we did talk about it. It was a quality, yeah.
Dear Emily, the three dumbest things in the world are you, your column, and your paper. I'm overwhelmed by the accumulated dumbness. P.S. You know the cure for acne? A friend of mine has it.
That's what people say when they watch our fucking podcast. I'm astounded by the
I am overwhelmed by the accumulated dumbness.
But Kolchak was very whippy this episode.
Very whippy.
And it's honestly it's very weird to see Kolchak end an episode without him getting fired.
Right, but I think I was wondering how they were going to do it, because obviously the whole show takes place in Chicago. So, like, he can't get fired at the end of every episode. Mm-hmm. But what they did was that Kolchak at the end was just like, you know what? No one's going to believe me anyway. And so he just leaves it. And I was like, okay.
Which, in a way, I like that, but in a sense, where it's like, I feel like he could be writing it, but, like, have that thing where it's like, I'm not going to let anyone know about it.
But also, if you listen to the way the voiceover, the narration is, it's basically as if Kolchak has published a tell-all book about all of the crazy-ass shit that he has seen as a cop, and we are getting the perspective of the book. So, like, him saying it's not like they're going to believe me anyway, and not publishing it at that moment doesn't mean that the story hasn't been published.
Yeah.
Just, it's now 20 years later in this book, or whatever.
Yeah. And, because what I would have liked is him, like, saying no one's going to believe it anyway, but him, like, keep the piece of paper to be like, well, if no one's going to believe it, I still will. And then
he still has his tape recorder.
That is very true. So I'd be like, at the very end, like, the last episode of the whole series.
Yeah.
Like, make it some big ass. Like, I hope they do that, where it's like, this is a story right before he publishes his book, and it's like the tip of the iceberg.
I don't think that's going to happen because the show was canceled.
Oh, so it's not like wrapped up in a tiny little ball thing.
Because I don't know. I obviously have never seen it before, but I do know that it is anthology in the sense that, like I said, there's literally only 4 characters who recur, and then every story is its own, like, murder case. So I don't know how it ends, in the sense that, like, if he gets fired, or it, like, closes that chapter, or if it just is another episode ending. Because the show did get canceled.
Yeah.
So, what were your favorite moments?
My favorite moments were, there was a sex worker that got killed. But it's the way that they shot her death. It was really cool. You see her walk by. She loves stuffed animals.
Oh, okay. No. Sorry. Before we talk about the death, because her death scene was really cool, but Kolchak's narration of her death was the most misogynistic 70s thing I have ever heard in my life. He was like, something about how this girl was a masseuse and she really loved stuffed animals, so she was given a giant panda by a very satisfied customer, and I was like, I am uncomfortable with
Yes.
everything that just happened.
Yes. So she is walking down the street with this gigantic panda bear.
Yeah.
And, like, low-key wish I had that gigantic panda bear. And so she's walking down the street with it, and then Jack the Ripper comes up and does his thing, but we see him kill her through the shadow. I was, like, on, like, the staircase over there.
Yeah.
So we see him, like, going down and stabbing her in, like, the traditional, like, silhouette of a Jack the Ripper with a hat and a cape.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
And then
the panda
flies
flies into the
over.
camera.
It flies over to where they're, like, the frame of the, like, the framing of the shot for the scene, and it flies in there, and it's all, like, ripped apart, and it's stuffed. And that bitch was stuffed with feathers, not stuffing. There were feathers around that, and I was like,
Well,
that must have been a soft-ass panda bear, like a goose feather stuffed animal. Sign me up. I love goose feather blankets and pillows. They're soft. That was a rant about goose feather comfort items.
I think my favorite part, because my favorite part of this entire show is just Kolchak being Kolchak.
Mhm.
My favorite part was when Kolchak was gonna, like, do a stakeout at the massage parlor, but then the undercover cop decided he was trying to, like, videotape sex work.
Yep.
But then somehow him wanting to videotape a massage by a lady in, like, a sexy, like, belly dancer outfit turned into him being gay. And I don't know what the correlation there was, but he just kept being like, but I am straight. And I was
Yeah.
like, what are we talking about?
And, like, because I thought they meant, like, straight, like, on the straight and narrow, like, you wouldn't do some creepy shit, but
No, because
they're
then,
like, "You're
the
gay."
cops was like, you like to watch girls? And he was like, no, I don't like to watch girls. No, but I'm not like that either. And I was like,
Because, like, he was setting it up to get Jack the Ripper on camera.
yeah.
And so with him, it was like, he's like, do you care if I, like, stay here and, like, watch and, like, keep my camera set? Like, he's being completely transparent.
But he was like, so I think something's gonna happen tonight in this very room. But, like, Kolchak, because nobody ever believes him anyway, he, like, dances around the subject in a way that makes him so sus.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you had no idea what the hell was going on.
But also, like, if you're an undercover cop trying to stop sex work in a, like, massage place, and that guy said all that stuff to you, obviously that's what you would think he was talking about.
I just really like that Jack the Ripper's hit this place twice.
Only once.
Once.
Two of the girls who work there, but only once in the massage place.
True. So, this is after that one girl already died. And I just love how they also have an undercover cop in there to stop sex working while we have Jack the Ripper. He targeted that place once. Have them there undercover to catch Jack the Ripper, which that ended up turning into what it was later on in that scene. But I was like, that's why she should be there, not stopping prostitutional work. I mean, I get it. But, like,
I mean, everything was illegal in the 70s.
true. Everyone's hopped up on coke and acid.
That's true. For how many things were illegal in the 70s, drugs doesn't seem to be one of them.
Yeah, everyone was just like, because I don't think there was a lot of scientific studies yet on, like, LSD, and most of it was, like, just given to people as, like, because wasn't, like, cocaine given as a medication, like, way back in the day, but, like,
Yeah.
they were like, take coke. Coke used to be in coke.
Yes.
That's why it's called coke. Is that why they named it coke?
That is why it's called coke.
Oh my god. It's liquid coke. Liquid cocaine.
Yeah.
I'm a god. No, I'm not.
Do you want to know a funny story, though, about Coke? So Coke...
Wait, the pop or the drug?
No, the pop, not
Okay.
the drug. So, Coke and Pepsi are very different flavors, right? And there was this one time that Coke was more popular than Pepsi, which it should be, because Coke over Pepsi always. Ew. So Pepsi tried to use this one artificial sweetener that would make them taste more like Coke, and people fucking hated it. They did not want it. They were like, nice try.
Yeah.
Nice try, buddy. And then they went back to how disgusting Pepsi is.
I love Pepsi. I love Diet Pepsi.
First of all, diet anything is terrible for you. And if you're worried about putting sugar in your body, aspartame is so much worse than sugar. You are better off drinking that entire baker's tin of sugar right there than you are drinking one diet soda.
Yeah, I know. You're definitely right about that. No cap. And this is when I was, like, drinking them like it was water. I've stopped drinking pop for the past month.
Okay.
That's already been cut out.
Okay.
But no, I used to love Diet Pepsi. It would be like water to me, and now I actually drink water. Keep my awesome water jug. It's not a Hydro Flask. It's a fake, and I just have stickers from the office on it.
I don't have
But
a
the best
Hydro Flask, I
one-
just have Yetis.
The best one is the Creed face I have on the bottom.
I don't have a Hydro Flask. I just have Yetis, but usually my Yetis have Dr. Pepper in them.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't drink water. That's not true. I drink a lot of sparkling ice.
Sparkling ices are really good, though.
Yeah, there's no sugar in them. They're just flavored water, and they've got a little bit of carbonation in them, which is not great, but, like, I don't drink water. I'm literally always dehydrated.
No, don't do that. I remember, like, that used to fuck my body up majorly when I wouldn't just drink water and I was strictly drinking pop. Then, it was rough for a while, and then my body was just so used to
I've
living off of
actually
it.
read a scientific study, and I've only read one, so there's not, like, tons of proof behind this, and also I don't remember where I read it, so maybe I'm just lying. But there's actually no difference in hydrating yourself using water or things like soda.
Really?
The problem is that caffeine is a natural
Dehydrator.
dehydrator.
Yeah.
So, like,
If you, like, got caffeine-free Pepsi, it'd be...
when I'm really thirsty, I drink Sprite because there's no caffeine in it.
Ah, okay.
And that's why, since I came back to America, I switched to the sparkling ice so that it's still, like, flavored. I just think water tastes like garbage.
I can, like, I love having a normal glass of water at 2:30 in the morning. And that hits fantastically. But then like, during the day and I drink water all the time, I normally get, like, the Mios, the little flavor things.
Yeah.
And that flavors up my water enough. Or I go to Walmart and I get the clear waters, the carbonated flavor waters.
Sparkling ice is just a different brand of clear, yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. I also have a massive caffeine addiction. So, like, I don't really care.
That's for my caffeine fix. It's like it has natural, like, amino acids in it. I got an energy drink that has also caffeine in it, but has, like, natural amino acids that turn into, like, and that boosts your energy without giving you the anxious jitters.
Sure, I don't believe that any energy drinks can do that. And that's not a judgment call. True stories about my life before I moved to Thailand. I used to drink 2 to 3 Mountain Dew Kickstarts every day after a coffee.
And you're still here.
Granted, at the time, I was in grad school working 3 jobs and, like, just never, like, I literally don't know if I slept for that entire year.
But
So, I don't judge anyone and how they choose to get their caffeine. But I also don't believe that there's such thing as a safe energy drink.
oh no, I'm not saying it's safe. There's no fucking way any energy drink is safe.
My brother drinks Monster, which is fine. Like I said, I don't judge anyone's choice of caffeine. But then this motherfucker had the nerve to tell me that he doesn't have a caffeine problem and he could just stop drinking it whenever he wanted. And I was like, nobody who drinks Monster every day doesn't have a caffeine problem.
Yeah. Because, like, even I would just go get coffee every day, and I stopped drinking caffeine for about a week. Like, after...
Oh, no.
And so I stopped...
If I don't have coffee for more than 2 days in a row, I will get a migraine so bad I can't breathe.
And that's the thing is, like, I was already getting the withdrawal headaches. So I was like, I need something that, because when I get my coffee, I put a lot of sugar, and teas, I put a lot of sugar in it. So I wanted to get my caffeine without, like, getting fucked.
This bitch, because this episode of Kolchak was themed to Jack the Ripper, we decided to have a British-themed snack party during our viewing party, and we had tea and scones. Now, granted,
Scones.
I really wanted to make my own scones, but I just didn't have the fucking time for that. But so we had tea and scones, and she goes to me, I'm going to have to be careful when we have tea on Wednesday because I can't put a lot of sugar in it. I put one spoonful of sugar in my tea. She put 3.
Okay, listen.
They were small, like they were not a full spoonful, but she put 3. And I looked at her and I said, "Your diet sugar is less sugar than is more sugar than my regular amount of sugar."
And I told her, I'm like, listen, if I'm having, and I only had 1 cup of tea, I'm like, if I'm having 1 cup of tea, I'm gonna have it how I like it. And they were a small cup, so like it wasn't big. So I'm like,
Yes,
this
but that's
is
the thing.
treat.
It was a small cup. It was a teacup sized cup, and she still had basically
I
a
like my sugar.
spoon and a half of sugar.
I like my sugar, and it's not terrible. Cause like with how much I've been watching myself lately, for me to have 1 cup of tea with a little extra sugar in it, if I haven't had a lot of sugars lately, I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, no.
Treat yourself. Don't starve yourself. But like eating cookies at 3 a.m. like I seem to do all the time, and having like Trenta cups of fucking sweet ass peach tea with heavy cream and extra vanilla syrup in it. Yeah, no, can't do that anymore. But putting 3 little scoops of sugar in my coffee every once in a while, I don't think is the worst.
I went to Starbucks yesterday
Mm-hmm.
and got a pineapple green tea with no sugar in it.
Really?
It was terrible. It was
Yeah.
absolutely garbage.
Yeah. I get the peach green tea from.
Well, I ordered peach green tea, but they were out of peach syrup, so they put the pineapple syrup in instead.
Oh.
I asked for the pineapple instead.
If you go, wait, so did you go to the one? Which one did you go to?
The one from the drive-thru.
Oh, well, here's the thing. They never have peach syrup, and at the Target one, they have actual peach juice that they put in it. And I love that.
I honestly, if there's an option to not get out of my car, I will take that option.
That's okay.
But yeah. So, it's fine. I really don't need sugar. I just,
Really like it.
yeah.
I would say it's the hardest part is like diverging from sweets, especially with what I'm dealing with right now. I just want to like cram all the sugar in my face.
But anyway, back to Kolchak.
Yeah, sorry for this.
I'm not actually sorry at all. I feel like we should just go through the trivia and the goofs, and because we can have conversations based off of those.
Yeah.
So, because I have already read them, and I laughed a lot at most of the goofs and the continuity errors. And some of them were things that I noticed while I was watching it.
Also, to all my fellow Friends fans, we have the reunion episode coming out. Is it May 26th?
I don't know, because
May
I do
27th?
not care.
I do. I'm named after a character on the show. I feel like I have
Is that
to.
actually what you're named
Yeah.
after? That's disgusting.
They
I'm
were-
sorry. Seriously?
Yeah, they were watching Friends, and then they were like, Monica. So I was going to be named Rachel after my mom's great-grandmother, Raquel.
Okay.
But then they were watching Friends, like, no, we like Monica, because it wasn't like a super popular name. So they're like, yeah, Monica. And that's what I got named after. I'm like, if you were to ever name me after anyone on that show, why the fuck did you name me Monica? You're better off giving me the name Phoebe. What the fuck?
I was named after Maureen O'Hara's character in the 1943 John Wayne film, The Quiet Man. So,
I love that.
yeah. It's the best movie ever. Anyway. About 19 minutes in, when Kolchak is arguing with his editor, Tony Vincenzo, there is a picture of Major Gregory Pappy Boyington behind Vincenzo. Simon Oakland is Tony Vincenzo, went on to play the Brigadier General Thomas More in Black Sheep Squadron.
That's pretty cool.
Which, that doesn't make sense unless you know the fact that Pappy Boyington and Thomas More were actual real people who were military, and then the show Black Sheep Squadron was based off of their life.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any clue.
Yeah. When Kolchak... What?
Kolchak the Night Stalker.
When Kolchak escapes the Ripper's home, it's because escape the Ripper.
Ah.
The P's were in my brain. The peas were...
The peas were on the brain. Peas on the brain.
When Kolchak escapes the Ripper's home, there is a brief glimpse of the killer's face. Brown hair with a drooping mustache and a beardless face. This corresponds exactly to the known descriptions of Jack the Ripper according to witness statements from 1888.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, no, he doesn't have a beard. Though actress Ruth McDevitt is credited only as elderly woman, her character is actually given a name in dialogue, Miss Eggenweiler. Ruth McDevitt would later join the regular cast as Miss Emily Cowles, the columnist to whom Miss Eggenweiler has written in this episode.
Which is pretty funny.
Could you imagine, though, if this Miss Eggenweiler really was Miss Emily, just like writing back and forth to herself to try to get people to find the Ripper? Because her letters were the ones that showed Kolchak where it was.
Mm-hmm. Here's my concept. You know how everyone knows that what's-his-face? Jar Jar is essentially a Sith Lord. This is like that conspiracy theory, but in the Kolchak series.
It's my headcanon that Mrs. Eggenweiler is actually Miss Emily writing back and forth to herself while she's on vacation.
Yeah.
The Ripper's house is also the Munsters' house at the Universal backlot.
Wait.
And the second movie had Grandpa Munster in it.
But what? No, we made a joke in the first movie. I'm like, that's the Addams Family.
It looked like that, yeah.
I low-key thought it was the same house for 1 second. Like, are we already reusing houses?
No, but it's actually the Munsters' house, which I love the Munsters.
Me too. I don't know where to stream it because I've been wanting to watch it recently.
I don't know.
I've
I've
met
met Eddie Munster.
I know you have, asshole. Back to the trivia.
Ken Lynch was set to reprise his role as Captain Warren, the police commissioner, but the series was canceled before that episode was filmed. And at the time, Lynch was also co-starring in McCloud as Sergeant Roper.
So that I think will settle what we thought the ending of the show would be.
Well, so there's at least more episodes planned when it got canceled. So, I don't know. When Vincenzo wants to make a phone call, he asks a passing policeman if he has change for a quarter, as payphones then only required a dime. If one used a quarter, no change would be received in return. While this may seem somewhat chintzy on his part, inflation since 1974 has dramatically reduced the value of a dollar. A quarter and a dime would be worth $1.30 and 52 cents now after adjusting for inflation.
Really?
Well, not now. Whenever this trivia was written. Mm-hmm. So I don't know when that was. Mm-hmm. But yes, I did think it was ridiculous that they asked for a change for a quarter.
Me and Mary Kay looked at each other. He was like, change for a quarter, and I was like, did they not cost 25 cents?
You don't have to tell them that because we'll just put a clip in.
Oh, I forgot we've done this.
Captain Warren repeatedly mispronounces Kolchak's name, presumably to subtly express his annoyance with him. I didn't notice that at all.
Me neither.
So, great.
But the one continuity error, because I know we're about to go into it, the one that I noticed, that you noticed, was it said, no food or beverage allowed in this office with coffee cups hanging right below it.
That's not even on here. That was just dumb. It was a background shot.
Yeah.
So continuity goofs. There is, so in goofs, there are continuity goofs and then like lots of different categories. So starting continuity. When Kolchak buys the electrical supplies, including a box of stuff and several feet of conduit from the store, he places them into the trunk of his car. When he goes to the Ripper's house, he takes the box out of the trunk and closes the trunk, but doesn't have the conduit. In the next scene, as he walks away from the car, he has the box in his hand and the conduit on his shoulder.
Oh, and I could barely notice it because the screen was
super dark during that part. But that part was really cool, and I wish we could have seen that shot on a better camera, because, so they show him getting in the car and putting his stuff and pulling away, and then it pulls up, and it looks like there's a car following him, but it's really just his car arriving in a new place, and it's like a really interesting way that they shot the transition, only the screen was so dark I couldn't actually tell.
And I was like, wait, who's getting out of it? And they were like, Oh.
Yeah. Laura Moresco is killed at 3:55 a.m. on May 26th. Carl hears on his radio that the police are pursuing him from the scene. His narration after the police confrontation states that it occurred at 1 a.m. on May 28th. The next day, he refers to the murder as happening last night.
Oh my god, yeah. See, I was just like, that's police chatter. I don't really need to know about the times
Yeah.
and shit. She's just dead.
Factual errors.
Ooh.
While talking to Jane, we haven't talked about Jane. We're going to talk about Jane after I finish this. While talking to Jane, Carl says that if the Ripper keeps his pattern, he will commit the last 2 murders in the same night like he did in London. Jack the Ripper's double event was actually murders 3 and 4 on September 30th of 1988, but Mary Kelly, the final victim, was killed over a month later on November 9th of 1888, not 1988, 1888. So they got the Jack the Ripper pattern wrong.
Oh, okay.
Because he did 1, 2, 3, and 4 together, waited,
5.
and did 5. Yeah. So Jane Plum.
Jane Plum.
Jane Plum.
In 1974, payphones only cost 10 cents. Damn. Okay, Jane, if Bailey Sarian were to talk to Miss Plum, she'd be like, get better
What
idols.
in the world are you
Please.
looking for? Nothing. I'm looking
She's out here simping over Jack the Ripper.
No, I don't think she's simping. I think she's just dumb.
What?
This bitch.
Literally was... Because the Ripper was sending notes. Is that where we're going with this?
No, well, just her in general. We haven't mentioned her at all.
Oh, yeah. Jane Plum is a character. She's another reporter that works in another newspaper.
And basically, Kolchak can't print the crazy shit that he thinks is really happening. So he's feeding her information because her editor is dumb enough to let her print the crazy shit that she thinks is happening.
Mhm.
And then she sets up a series of blind dates with these guys who pretend to be the Ripper until eventually the actual Ripper does meet with her and kills her.
Yeah, which I mean... But the way she was talking about it, it's like she was flattered. He was writing her a poem. Because she's like, he'll write me another poem. He's not going to kill me. He said he wouldn't kill me, and he said he wouldn't kill again until this date. I'm like, then Mary Kate said, just because you are a reporter doesn't mean that you're above death.
It's like the girls who sit in the courtroom for serial killers.
And cry because they're getting convicted for murder.
God.
Whack.
But I did feel a little bit bad for Jane Plum because everybody kept calling her fat.
When she's as built as I am.
Right. Kolchak made a comment about how she doesn't skip snacks, and the old lady called her kind of fat. Now, she was a curvier woman.
And in the 70s, it was all about being this big.
One of her the role that she's the most well known for is that she played, oh God, what's her name? Essie Candy, maybe? The best friend of Wonder Woman in the old TV show. So Melissa McCarthy's character in the Wonder Woman movie, she played that in the old Wonder Woman TV show.
Oh, okay.
So she's not a small woman.
Yeah.
But they just kept calling her fat. It was oh yeah, no, she's just the fat one.
Yeah, and I was like, homie, she's curvy. And me and her, we're kind of built the same. She's a little bit thicker, but we're built basically the same. And he was like, call it fat or call her big boned. And I was like, damn, Kolchak.
Yeah, you could call her fat or you could call her big bone, but she sure doesn't miss a snack.
I was like, fuck.
Rude.
I was like, Kolchak
Rude.
I was like, he just described me in 5 seconds.
But also, she's an idiot.
Yeah, she's dumb.
So my problem with her is not that she's fat, it's that she's stupid.
As Bailey Sarian says, get better idols.
Jane said the Ripper cut out both of the victim's kidneys, just like the original Ripper, but the original Ripper only cut out one kidney and sent it in a letter to the investigating party.
Wow, imagine being as ballsy as Ripper.
That I did. Revealing mistakes. This just means things that show the background of it being a film. So during the battle between the Ripper and the Chicago Police Tactical Squad at the construction site, when the officers on the ground are shooting up at the Ripper on the first level, the police officers on that level are directly in the line of fire.
That's what I
there's
said.
absolutely no way they wouldn't have shot the police officers.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, you're going to gun down your own policeman up there. And mind you, okay, there's also another thing. So Mary Kate is a Ripper. I'm a police officer. This is the gun. They fired down at the ground because you see the fire leave the gun.
God, when the undercover police officer, masseuse lady, was like, okay, And then she, like, turned around and shot nowhere near
Near
the
him.
man. I was like...
Stormtroopers shoot better. Like, how do the cops stop any crime in the city? Like, Kolchak out here frying the motherfucker, and the cops can't even shoot straight. Like, Kolchak had a whole elaborated plan. And the cops can't just go bang, bang.
Yeah, but you know, Kolchak's problem is that...
He's killing people that he shouldn't be killing because
Right,
he's
he's just like, he also talked about how he put random people under citizen's arrest. At
Yeah.
one point, he was like, that's my right to just... Which, I guess, technically... but yeah, Kolchak's just like, well, since you're immortal, or you're a vampire, or you're Jack the Ripper, instead of letting the police deal with you, I'm just gonna murder you.
Yeah. Because he would be like...
Which, I mean, like, I guess, if I was being chased by a vampire, I wouldn't necessarily want to hand it over to the police. I'd want it dead.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Whack.
Mrs. Eggenweiler's telescope was set for Kolchak's height, and she's so short that she clearly would have had to step onto something in order to use it.
That's funny.
Vincenzo's vest is buttoned in reverse with the right over the left instead of the left over the right, showing that the film was printed backwards. So everything in the show is actually mirrored, and you can tell that because their buttons aren't in the right order.
Oh, that's funny.
And this one revealing mistake is listed separately because it's got a spoiler in it. When the Ripper is electrocuted by Kolchak in the pool of water, the mechanism simulating the sparks is visible on his back. You can see the sparks coming out.
I thought it was just a cord that got wrapped around him.
Which is good that you thought that, but
Yeah.
technically what you're seeing is the actual thing that's making it. Oh, errors in geography. I do love geography. The narration refers to Milwaukee as being just across the state line from Chicago when it is in fact roughly 100 miles north of the city. Yeah. One scene refers to the intersection of Laramie and Pulaski, but these two streets run parallel to each other. There is no intersection.
Nice.
And the last one, the Ripper is stated to live in Wilton Park. There is no area of Chicago or any of its suburbs called Wilton Park.
They said we're gonna make up a funny name. Wilton Park.
Character errors. So these are all just shit that Kolchak did wrong. After 4 victims are murdered, Kolchak tells Jane that historical Rippers always kill 5 women, and our Ripper has 2 left, showing that he miscounted.
Way to go.
4 plus 2
Is
does
6.
not equal 5. It's like Monica math. Kolchak, while being a reporter, even though employed by a third-rate news service, constantly uses a small format 110 camera to capture out-of-focus images of vampires, werewolves, and the like. Such a camera would not be able to produce usable photos, especially taken at night.
That makes sense.
Which they kind of talked about that in this episode because Monica's boyfriend...
If I was alive in the 70s, that guy right there would be someone I'd be dating. Ew. That makes me really sad because it feels like he's like the goth boy of the 70s.
No.
The dorky, awkward film developer for the newspaper straight up tells Kolchak that his pocket flashbulb is jacked and nothing he has is a good picture. Kolchak wants them anyway because he's dumb.
Mm.
But yeah, Monica's boyfriend said, nope.
Yeah, because we said that if I was in the 70s that this would have been my boyfriend.
And the last error. When Vincenzo tells Carl he's letting Updike have the story, he says that he's been the financial editor for years, and when he responds, Carl calls him a financial advisor. That one I heard and immediately was like, wrong. It was one of those things where, like, you know what happened was that either one of two things. Either, one, film was too expensive and they didn't have enough film to retake that shot, or 2, the acting energy that Kolchak put in the delivering that little bit of dialogue was so good that they just decided not to reshoot it.
Yeah.
But it was literally so obvious that he said the complete wrong word.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the thing about filming in the 60s and 70s is that things weren't digital. They were shot on actual film, and you bought a certain amount of film, and you only had that much film to film. And you're thinking this is the pilot episode of a TV show. And yes, the reviews of the movies were really, really good, and it had a good, like, financial backing, but it's still a brand new TV show in 1974, so it's not like it had HBO budget.
Yeah.
So whatever film they had, and that's it.
But, I mean, even though, like, with all the goofs and things that I feel like are going to come up throughout the show.
Oh, yeah, but I love goofs.
Yeah.
I love goofs because I also love things that...
Do you watch, like, bloopers from, like, the 50s and 60s from, like, movie sets? It's so weird because they're, like, oh, my God, you're actual people. Like, you're not just these characters. Like, you're an actual person outside of this.
I mean, I just watch Marvel bloopers on TikTok for hours and hours.
Me too.
And hours.
But I love watching, like, Marvel actors' interviews, and when, what's his face? Loki's, what the, help?
Tom Hiddleston.
Thank you, Tom Hiddleston, when he's like, I'm trying to get a bunch of bitches to kneel, I'm like, I'm fucking already there, broski. And then Chris Evans, I don't like it. I don't like it. That's just how I feel constantly. I don't like it.
My favorite one is Chris Hemsworth. Since, when?
I'm gonna just go home and watch Marvel bloopers and interviews and stuff like that.
Again, this is probably a really short episode because, like we said, it's really hard to talk about things when they're not garbage.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also hard because, like...
There's nothing to analyze, really.
Yeah, there was so much, like, character motivation that you didn't understand in Hemlock Grove, and in this show, like, because it's the 70s, everything is pretty much on the surface.
Yeah.
Except, okay, no. This is what I will say. I do have a problem.
Okay.
How? Just how? Jack the Ripper, right?
Oh yeah, they never explained it.
They never, like, he's afraid of electricity. Electricity is the only thing that kills him. And then at the end, Kolchak says when they drained the lake, there was no body found, only his clothes. So the electricity literally disintegrated his existence.
Yeah.
But, like, how?
Yeah.
They never talk about it. Is he a vampire? Like, in the other ones, we knew it was a vampire. We knew it was an alchemist. Like, the next week's episode is just called The Werewolf. Like, how?
Yeah.
It's gonna keep me awake at night, not understanding how.
They never gave, like, a full... They were just, like, making comparisons.
Like, it was really cool and freaky that it was the actual original Jack the
yeah.
Ripper, and I loved the camera work with the cape, and the hat. Like, I loved it. But... how?
Yeah. That is very, very, very fair. I didn't even think about that.
Right, but that's the thing. If you're watching it, and you're just watching it and enjoying it, you don't even think about that. You're just like, oh, Kolchak got him again, and like, oh, that's so crazy that there's no body. But then if you take a minute to actually think about it, you're like, we learned nothing in that entire episode.
No.
There was no evidence.
Because that's why I'm like, Kolchak trying to prove it's the actual Jack the Ripper is a stretch. Because like, if you,
granted, you had about 40 minutes less in an episode of TV than you did in the movies. But if you think about the amount of time in The Night Strangler that he went into proving Dr. Richard Malcolm and Dr. Malcolm Richards were the same person,
yeah.
Zero evidence in this episode. None. And then this guy is like, breaks through a concrete metal steel like solitary confinement thing. I have never laughed so hard in my entire life.
Mary Kate just started freaking dying.
He breaks through the steel door that is physically impossible. He jumps off of 4-story windows. He gets hit by a car and doesn't even like flinch.
And you wanna know what's funny?
He's still okay, and this is the other thing. He is wearing shoes that have not been made since 1901.
Yes.
It is 1974. You are telling me that in 73 years you have not worn through the soles of your shoes?
Well, he also seemed to have more than one pair because in that bag goes another pair of those shoes. And Kolchak's like, how? Why? Why do you have so much? Unless he like, that's a theory time. Maybe he did do some alchemist shit because it makes sense with the dates that he kills, how many people he kills in that time.
No, it wasn't every 21 years though, so it wasn't the alchemist.
No, I know,
but
maybe it wasn't the same. Maybe his effects were different than the alchemist because it's the same patterns within the same day span or like whatever it may be. But I'm just trying to make it make sense
no,
because
but
maybe
it-
he
it doesn't.
had a plan, so he was like, I'm gonna buy a fuck ton of shoes because these are my ride or die shoes.
I mean,
1,000
okay,
pairs.
full disclosure, I understand. Because, story time about how fucking weird my brain is. When I lived in Thailand, one time my parents came to Thailand to visit me, and we were gonna go to this elephant sanctuary where we were gonna be able to like be in the water with them, and I had no shoes that I could get wet. So we went to this night market, and I spent 150 baht, which is like $3, on these
Like water
ugly,
shoes.
big, like plastic, like almost croc material, but they look like Birkenstocks. They're called red apples, and they're the ugliest fucking shoes I've ever
Ew.
seen. They're the ones that I have downstairs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I bought them. I wore them for like a year and then some. And then they were starting to fall apart. So for Christmas, 2 years ago, one of my best friends bought me a new pair of the exact same shoes. Then, mine are really, really dirty. They're not white anymore because I've had them for almost 2 years. But when I was leaving Thailand, all the markets were closed because of COVID. So I couldn't get a new pair. I found them
Target.
on Amazon.
Oh, Amazon?
From Thailand, the actual same brand, same shoe, and instead of the $3 I spent in Thailand to buy them, I just spent $40 to have them shipped here on Amazon from Thailand because I love these shoes so much.
Mary Kate, you do know, I thought you got those at Target because they sell basically that from
But they're not red apples.
They're
I
not
want
red
red apples.
Well, now you got red apples for $40.
Yeah. They'll be here on June 14th.
But besides that one thing as to how Jack the Ripper
Otherwise,
is
it
here,
was great.
yeah, it was still a great episode.
I really, my biggest visual problem was just the darkness of it. But I don't know that that's something I can really complain about because I don't think that's going away.
Yeah, no, it was the movies that we watched of Kolchak were dark, but it was also on Blu-ray, so it was able
Well,
to.
I don't think it was the difference between the DVD and the Blu-ray. I think it was the difference between the tone of the show because the movies were much more comical than the show.
Yeah.
And like my dad said, the show gets even darker.
Okay.
So, like, for example, next week's episode is not
Is it
the
the
werewolf.
zombie?
It's the zombie. I was wrong. The zombie. Ooh. Teaser for everybody. After her son is murdered, a voodoo priestess brings him back from the grave so that he may seek revenge against his killers.
Killers. That's gonna be
Speaking of
interesting.
voodoo priestess, my mom had never seen Princess and the Frog, so I made her watch it this weekend.
Oh, I love Princess and the Frog.
too.
It's great.
So good. I'm guessing this is not a Mama Odie, though.
No.
Um,
Mama Odie in sight. Maybe Marie Laveau.
I've been to her
Not
grave.
a Mama Odie. My mom went, and actually Marie Laveau was not. They were talking about it on the tourist on
Yeah.
Louisiana. Not even a voodoo
Not-
priest. It's like her, and then she had two daughters that looked just like her, and her
Oh, yeah.
daughters were twins. So she would like.
She
let's say
literally
someone-
would just have her daughters do things
Things-
in different places, and people would see her in the same place at the same
Same
time
time.
and think she was doing some kind of weird magic, but really she was just like a gossip with a lot of resources.
Yes, like if there was like a person in charge going, well, I seen you do X, Y, and Z. I wasn't like she would blackmail people and just be like, thanks, bitch.
Oh yeah. And
Give
she-
me all your money or I tell everyone
and
you're
she
having an
w-
affair.
Right, and she was a Creole woman, like, so she was mulatto, so she wasn't like high up in society, but she used the fact that she was like underneath people to get in all of their business.
Yep. I will say Marie Laveau, she was just out there just going, you know what?
But
Blackmail.
weirdest thing about Marie Laveau's tomb is that it is very, very close to Nicolas Cage's tomb.
I fucking hate that. I just hate Nicolas Cage's tomb. He said, you know what?
It is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He said my best movie ever was National Treasure.
Thank you.
National Treasure. And he's like, the old pyramid that they have like in the top of the...
No,
Boom.
Nicolas Cage is the president of the Illuminati.
Facts. I thought it was Beyonce.
No.
Beyonce like the queen? She's just
Listen.
Queen Bee.
She's Queen Bee, but no. Honestly, Nicolas Cage, first of all, he's actually related to Francis Ford Coppola. He's a Coppola. Cage is a made-up last name.
That's cute.
He is the worst actor, and yet he has the most prolific career I've ever seen. Nobody with those acting skills gets to be in as many movies as he is.
True.
This motherfucker bought...
His tombstone already.
Well, no, but he bought the Delorier house in New Orleans, and then was like, this bitch is haunted. And the people who sold it to him were like, here, in the owner's agreement contract, it says you cannot get out of this agreement for the house being haunted because, bitch, we know.
Yeah.
So he went bankrupt trying to get rid of this house, and yet still wants to be buried in New Orleans. This man is psychotic.
Even if he's not a part of the Illuminati, he's a little fucking... I mean, I would buy a haunted house too, just for funsies.
No, but he didn't know, and then he was surprised because he signed all the papers without reading them. Fun fact, Nicolas Cage doesn't read his contracts.
That explains so much.
So you could get him to agree to anything for the right price tag.
I will give you $5.
And that's why I think he's in the Illuminati.
There you go. I like how my hair, because of my undercut and my natural short pieces, they have such a high pony, it's just like
it's okay. My baby hairs make it look like my scalp is dyed hardcore, but it's not. Like, because it's all just my baby hairs.
Then for me, it's just like, nah. I got this.
We're in a weird place today. I'm so sorry. We're gonna end this now before we talk about who knows what else.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Nicolas Cage be a part of Illuminati. A little bit about Kolchak. Our favorite Marvel moments.
No, we talked a lot about Kolchak.
Yeah, we did talk a lot about Kolchak.
It's not like that one episode of Hemlock Grove where we only talked about Twilight.
We really did. I think we brought up Hemlock Grove for maybe 10, 15 minutes. And then the rest of the hour and a half was just Twilight.
Yeah. So on that note, if you believe that Nicolas Cage is in the Illuminati or have a favorite Marvel interview moment, please email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, all at deathandaliens, no spaces. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can follow me on Instagram at monica.lynn_, and you can follow me on Instagram at mon_lynn_.
You just said Instagram twice.
I'm on Twitter for the second one. The mon_lynn_. That's Twitter.
Cool.
My brain's foggy today. Don't yell
It's
at me.
okay. Our handles are in the end card of this video.
There you go.
And if you're not watching on YouTube, I'm sorry.
Just good luck.
Oh, but also rate us and review us on iTunes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to work Apple Podcasts because I'm anti-Apple and I only have Android and or Windows products. I have no idea how to use it, but it's apparently a thing that people use, and they always say rate and review.
Yeah, so do that.
And then on YouTube, like, share, subscribe,
Comment.
whatever. Yeah, all the shit that you do when you like people.
Like this, if you're watching on YouTube, like this video if you just kept seeing my eyelash fall off for the past 20 minutes and me fixing it.
Let me know how you feel about my hair.
It's super cute. Mermaid vibes. Mermaid Elsa.
And we will see you next week, which is really the day after tomorrow. Bye!
Bye!